right, good morning. Today is Monday. We do have a full week up to 5 days. It's August 26, 2024. I'm actually going to change my screens. Give me a second. Alright, sorry about that. I have this fixed up. There we go. So we have about 15 minutes until we get started with our session. I'm starting a little later again. We have some pretty light volume overall, so I'm not really too worried about what's going on. Really not much has changed. We're still pretty much just
Market
balancing
open.
sideways primarily. Go ahead and silence principal and get in my journal already. Alright, go ahead and take a seat. Alright, so again we do have Monday. I did a I did a month in prep video last night. So really not much has changed. We're in a little same exact situation. The only thing that has changed since we've done the prep last night was NQ is just a little bit weaker as we have our daily candle here. ES is already at the 56, 62s versus the NQ, which is a little bit negative for the day, trading at the 19770s. So we'll look at the quote board for an idea of why they're a little bit weaker. And we'll take a peek at the 3-minute bars. This is the NQ. Pretty much we open up Sunday night, shoot up a little bit, shoot down, testing the prior overnight zones, which we never removed. So we'll go ahead and clean those up. But bounced off the prior IB mid just right before two-way traded. I don't believe they made a new high. Another leg down, another leg up. We end up trading a little bit above this prior high. Two-way traded, and now we're testing this downside again. Though the lowest we got was still in this former support zone. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, we're just trading a little bit down, but basically two-way trading. This is still balanced, and again, this is very light volume overall. Same situation for the NQ. I mean the ES. Leg down, leg up, leg down, leg up. Except they're holding their highs. And again, we'll look at the quote board for a understanding of where that's coming from. Who exactly is providing this sturdiness? All right, and then we're going to look at our quick internet tabs. So I didn't look at the sector tracker for the monthly candle yesterday. So we'll take a quick look at this here. You can stop and see where we're at on a monthly, on a 5-day. And then again, this will be in our homework for Friday night. This is where we were our last session. For the economic calendar, we do have 5:30s that's happening today. And then an interview. later in the session. And then for the earnings, really not too much. For the quote of the day, the best way out is always through. Robert Frost. All right, so man, that's pretty much it. We'll look at our quote board, and we're looking at our daily change volume to see any kind of pre-market activity. We got tech leading its way down, a 26 basis point difference. RTY is leading, which I totally forgot about RTY during this bounce from August. We'll need to look at their chart. I'm just curious what they look like. So to the buy side, we typically try not to go long when there's a discrepancy between these two like this. So we'll need a little bit more information as we start our day. Looking at our leaders, Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, they're about balanced here. The amount of volume is going to balance this lower selling pressure here. Discretionaries doesn't appear to be doing too well. Amazon and Tesla. Communications, they're doing all right. Then Eli Lilly and Berkshire's. I'm curious to see how the sectors are. Utilities, 24, industrials 35, finance 39, healthcare 14, XOK 2, we're even for discretionary. Either that or they're not open, which I'm not sure which is the case. And then the VIX is down just a little bit. Not too much for, what's the next contract for here? I'm assuming we can roll forward because I don't know. I think it's just C, right? It may not be C. Yeah, I'll need to find the crude oil contract. I'm not gonna worry about that. But okay, I mean that's pretty much it. Really not too much to talk about here. We're seeing very nice breadth across the board if tech can get their act together. Mainly the Broadcoms, a bit of Tesla, but definitely Broadcom, Amazon, Tesla, and a little bit of Microsoft. Or if NVIDIA just keeps pushing, this would definitely be a nice
Block
state
sell.
for the S&P 500. But we do want to keep an eye on how we're doing for healthcare and see if finance will continue to stay strong, as well as industrials. What's going to happen with discretionary? Of course, we'll pay attention to NVIDIA. Yeah, and that's pretty much it here. You can see our zones here. We're just in this gray zone where we may build some volume. This is just a prior week. That's that prior week valley. Might as well just do 818 like I did for the S&P. All right, and then just to save you a little time, we have 5 minutes until the opening bell. So again, we are flirting with the weekly highs from last week. We want to see if we're going to break through those. This high for the week of, or this high of July 18th is 56.64 and 3/4. So we're literally right there. So if we do burst through here before the market open, don't be surprised if we see a little spray. And then it's pretty much clear skies from 64s to 57.16s. So we'll put a little zone here actually. This will be the close of that session, just so we have some sort of reference point. All right, just a little note there. Now I'll go ahead and throw the price labels on. So that's from the 5690s to the 5681s. And it's just this nice little cluster of highs, opens, closes, open, closes, doji, and opens, and just the midpoint of this sell-off candle from the 17th. NQ just really needs to get above their 20K 22 and the 83. So we'll hold off on doing any kind of zones. Actually, I think it'd be a good idea if we go ahead and do that. In case we do break through, we're not stuck trying to figure this out on the fly. So that's from the 20K 86s down to the 34s. See, so now it's just up there. And then if we look at our candles here, we don't have them. Nope, that's for the S&P 500. I don't have this shown for, what number is this? This is chart number 12. Sorry about that. Okay. I see why. I'm just having some overlaps there. Fair enough. All right, I'll leave those daily bars, those daily zones on the dailies. I just have my profiles notes here. But okay, so we have 20, we have about 40 seconds. So again, we know what we're looking out for. We just really want to see how we trade out of this balance. We use it as support above or resistance below. 5:30 data has already happened. We'll do our SOCs on shortly. And I'll go ahead and throw on price squawk. I'm still getting some seconds done here.
Welcome Market to Price Open. Squawk.
And I'm not going to do this SOC zone because, again, there's no real reaction that happened here. It's not worth putting those little points. It'd be a little better to kind of trade off the action that we're seeing. And again, this is fairly light volume off the open. And they're still flirting with those highs. Again, do remember we have the end of that, those daily zones for the ES that we're getting ready to break through. If they fail to hit those highs, I think that'll be a poor sign of strength and a possible sign for balance or a open test drive where, okay, looks like we're about to hit it. Yes, they should be able to hit that zone fairly quickly. I'm going back on mute, trying to fiddle with some settings.
Block by.
So notice as soon as we get up, we break that high, we should do a little bit of trading and immediately shoot back down. And then the slow grind up, accepting those prices. That's that first 3-minute part. Alright, and then we're smoothly breaking through those highs now. As you can see. We don't know how much excursion we're going to get above, but they should at least be able to get those taken care of. Trying to find a timer that I was using yesterday. I don't have it for this specific scene. But it's fine. So I'm not really looking at the DOM right now, but it looks like they're trying to hang around. Okay, disregard. And that's a situation where we had a fairly bullish bar, seen as a continuation that was rejected. So we got another 30 seconds to see how we end this candle. That'd be a possible sign. And again, we were thinking, well, we did see the hesitancy to break those highs. And you do see some relative volume. Again, it's very light overall. See the sellers creeping down. Another 10 seconds, we'll be done with this candle. But notice ES had a little more of a pullback than the NQ, but still both weak nonetheless. And just to be clear, I don't have any thoughts for a potential trade at all. We're still in balance for the most part, and we don't have enough information to fade the extremes. We don't know what the extremes are going to be for the RTH session. Just a reminder, again, we did do our weekly in last night, but just for the sake of it, we're still bullish on a higher time frame. We're bullish on the intermediate and a shorter time frame. We were having a high increase volume day with high delta, with very much selling delta, with high volume and engulfing bar with the inside bar to follow up. So you'd imagine this may be some compression with a little bit bearish tilt to the sell side, but we're not seeing any kind of continuation. So I mean, we'll see how the RTH trades. What's possibility this may be a look above and to fail. That just takes a little slow time to play out. I think we looked at our market profile today, this morning. But again, you can see where we're at here. We're still at these highs. We're still at these highs. And that's what we pretty much closed. And we're already kind of trying to burst through and hold above. Well, let me go ahead and get all these cleaned up. Make sure I don't have any pop-ups that show. Okay, we're good. And then today's volume is just normal. A little bit of a P shape. Not too much going on here. Super light volume as a whole. We're only at 160,000. All right, so I'm gonna go on mute. I'm just looking through my notes here, see if there's anything we can bring in from last week to improve our session today.
Block sell.
So again, we're having a little bit of some selling pressure that's going on here. My apologies, I just left this on the screen. I much better leave this here. I'm looking at my journal, checking out my community, seeing what other people are talking about. Some people are expressing some problems that they had over the weekend, getting set up with their prep and staying consistent. So I'm just seeing if there's any advice that I can possibly give that may help, or at least just trying to understand what they're going through and see if I had anything similar. Just kind of share my experience. And again, it's really not too much going on here. I'm much going to prefer to wait until this B bracket to see anything. Again, we've already had our durable goods that happened at 5:30. It's not anything to report.
Block sell.
So I'm just seeing if I can help my teammates in my community. As of right now, I think I'd be much more productive looking at my notes and helping other people than trying to find something in this. I'm not interested in finding anything here at the moment. We're at this top balance. I would like to see if we're going to reject these higher prices like we're starting to see for ES. A look above and a potential fill. See if we have some coiling that happens here. Which again, this is very reminiscent to what we were seeing last week with this up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Look above. Use it as support. Or the same situation where we coil, break below, retest, and then go further. But how long is that going to last? Is that going to be sustained? Again, today is Monday, so you kind of want to take it with a grain of salt. This range is fairly low, from the 69s to the 59s, so it's only about 10 points. And again, you can see this on the Dawn. Fairly light volume overall. We're both below the VPOC. Value is shifting lower. We're under the RTH VWAP as well. And if we look at the whole session overall, we're heading towards those lows for NQ. For this session, that is. And ES, we are well within our zones. We did not draw our overnight zones. I think we're finding some success doing this on the 30-minute. And again, we're doing this together. I wonder why these aren't rolling forward like they normally do. Strange. That's that 15-minute count though. That's right there.
Block buy.
But yeah, normally the prior IB range will show, but I'm not sure. But yeah, notice we open right at the top of that range. So we want to see if we're gonna use any of that support from overnight, just the structure from overnight, to see if that's gonna provide any kind of structure for them to bounce off of. So we'll go ahead and drop the studies for now. And then let's get that same thing to NQ, who's already at these lows. Yeah, they pretty much just have one more, which is basically just the end here. And then the actual overnight low itself. Alright, let's see. So again, much weaker overall for NQ. If we drop overnight session, you can see we're opening in the middle of this range, which is a bit bearish overall. So let me see if we drop below. I mean, that's like a
Block
200
buy.
point drop, but break below this low, and then you have the Thursday lows as well. So it's kind of a bit of a danger zone for NQ. Looking at our delta here again, a lot of volume. You can see sellers stepping in for NQ, which makes sense as they are a bit of a weaker one, and a lot of buying pressure for the ES. Not really much progress, and those buyers are, if they're still holding, they're already be underwater. So now we're starting to see some weakness from ES as well. We'll go ahead and take our snapshot at these lows, and we'll see if we do come out of here. Where is that coming from? Who is leading us out, or who's making it worse? To me, overall, we're getting ready to break this overnight low. We're getting ready to break this overnight low for NQ. My apologies. Alright, so we're right back at that open price. We're not really breaking these lows. Damn near quadruple bottom for the ES. I would imagine we're going to see some excursion to the downside. And looks like NQ is bouncing off that little particular zone. We'll see if that's actual sustained.
Block sell.
Alright, if we break this low, again, we'll be looking into the prior day's range, which again is going to be a little more balanced. I think this may be a week where we do have the NVIDIA earnings on Wednesday afternoon, and then some data that's following that on Thursday and Friday. I'll double check on Tuesday, but really this should be a day that we're just kind of just gathering some information as we head into the middle of the week. All right, I'm going to mute.
Block buy.
And just to reiterate, I am not interested in, and this is a clear bounce off this overnight low for NQ. They're really flirting with it, flirting with these lows. If they can sustain value upwards, that'll definitely catch a lot of people off guard. You can even look at the footprint here, and you'll see that this delta is going to try to reverse. We have another 9 minutes. Let's look at this spreadsheet and see what all has happened in this time. You can see healthcare is trying to step up, finance is trying to step up, communications, the consumer staples. This is less of a defensive posture we're seeing, and just more breadth with finance, healthcare, communications, kind of holding their own. But this is going to need to be sustained here. So again, I'm bullish on the higher, bullish on the intermediate, bullish on the short.
Block buy.
More the recent, well, the recent and the shorter time frame would be balance. Given the overnight
Block
session,
buy.
and again they bounce right off that overnight low. That's why we want to drop that zone to see once we hit it, and if we leaked below, we knew what was under there. So that'd be like a local bottom, a bottom here. Very nice if that's the case. But this is more just balance. So I wouldn't say this favors anyone, but given the context of where we are for NQ, this is bearish because you're bear flagging ish. Yeah, it's a bear flag, kind of. The open is in the middle, as well as the RTH VWAP, and the full session VWAP is above. That's basically flipped for the ES, where we're coming from the lows, pushing above. We're using full session VWAP as support.
Block sell.
Possibly rejecting this RTH VWAP. So again, more balance. I would imagine we're going to close somewhere near this midpoint. If we close below, we are still just within the prior day's range. And we'll be heading into here, and we don't want to initiate short in that range or really long. Again, this is, be mindful of our expectations. And then this is for the NQ. It's a little weakness here from ES. We'll want to see where that's coming from. Again, this is why we have the quote board. Looking here, utilities, industrial selling off. That little gain from finance and healthcare that's been dropped. Everyone is just selling off at this point. Money's going into Google, Meta, whatever it is for communications, and possibly getting technology off the ground. So this may be the situation where we sell other sectors and hit the tech, or this may just be a release to the downside because everyone is kind of giving up their gains. Outside of we're going more defensive, heading back into consumer staples, utilities. But just weak across the board, tech is just really giving up. Mainly Nvidia, Tesla, Broadcom. So we have officially broken that overnight low for NQ. We'll see how they respond. We don't see any kind of urgency at the moment. I haven't really been listening, to be honest. I'm not seeing big sellers kind of step in. So I mean, as of now, I guess this would be like a -1. Borderline wishy-washy. We got about 5 minutes. We got about 5 minutes until the end of the session. All right. And again, I think we're still sitting at this -1, and that's less of strength from the buyers and more a lack of willing to buy or lift offers. So yeah, sellers really aren't doing anything too much that's catching my eye. I'm not seeing strong rotations, but as we hit up, as you see this little seller stepping down, we are noticing the book is getting a little thicker for the sell side. And we have another 2 minutes until the end of this 30 minutes, so you may see some urgency a little bit to the downside. Some people are going to want to get out of their risk, or we may catch some people off guard and possibly rise up. And if we do rise up and head back to this open and midpoint, you want to see the behavior of the buyers and the sellers. Notice this volume starting to tick up a little bit. Again, we're not really moving this price, so it's really consolidating. We're going to have a break away from here shortly. Given that we're leaning on this downside, I would imagine there's going to be more pressure to the downside. But as we have another 30 seconds for this minute candle, you want to look at the bids and the offers. And you want to see the velocity of the way we're moving. If we do get above this VPOC zone, which is the pink here, at the 61s and the 730s. But again, this is just really like a -1, maybe a -1.5. Just less on the buyers. Buyers are not really too eager, and we were seeing that early in the day. So my guess this will be an open test drive to the downside. So we got another 40 seconds. The spread is widening a little bit. So we're seeing some stretching going on. Some slippage is happening. So I'm assuming that the bids and the offers are getting a little thin. Not much volume is trading. We got another 20 seconds. Again, it's a lot of delta here to the downside. At the lows, again, it's relatively speaking. We haven't really seen an order flow event. We got 5 seconds. 3, 2.
Block buy.
And still incredibly light volume. All right, I'm going back to my notes. All right, I'm gonna put this on mute so you don't hear me typing.
Block buy. Block buy.
And then I'm just marking these little yellow zones here. Again, this is just like random. Oh yeah, check out this area while we're just kind of looking. These really shouldn't be saved. Just kind of some little checkpoints, roadmaps through our price action. All right, we're starting to see that downside pressure now. ES has still not hit their overnight areas. But notice this is a potential rejection from that high point zone there that we were looking at. I think it was like the middle of July. We just tested maybe like a couple of points above, and not too much afterwards. Let's take a look at the quote board and see what we're looking at. Actually, let's clean up this 15-minute here so we can check out our delta. Notice the negative delta. Still pushing. Volume is relatively okay, I guess, for the NQ. For the ES, we just have a lot of buyer delta that's not having any progress. Look, buying, and nothing. Again, this is still relatively light volume. And ES still has not hit their their overnight zones. Just to show the overall breadth of what we're dealing with here. Break this into like 15 minutes and you can see a little clearer. This will be the beginning of the overnight session around here. Down, up, coil. Basically, we're just bull flagging right now from this low point here. They have some structures that they can hold, which is why we did those overnight zones. Really not too much to show, fairly simple. All right, we're starting to see some passives that are coming to step in. So again, who are these passives? Would these be new money sellers, or they're at these 64s? These 64s are in here. Potentially, these are some of these buyers that at least want to make a little bit of a profit. Now they're kind of like stacking in. Now, if they don't get filled, if you're sitting here like, man, I really got to get out of this position, I really got to get out of this position, and the price goes lower, you are a
Block buy.
buyer that's willing to sell at lower prices, just given the urgency. So I mean, we're just not seeing much urgency across the board at all. We're only sitting at 240,000, which again is very low. Notice this may be a potential trend down day, given we're closing below this 5 smoothing average for both NQ and ES. So we're gonna see if we're gonna have like a poke above, maybe reach this mid in its open price, and we'll see how they respond. I'm not really interested in looking short. We're just kind of just gauging some information here. I'm going back on mute. I really need to start my notes.
Block buy. block sell.
I noticed that was a little forceful drop. Someone just said F it. End up breaking this low. So again, we're still having more of our potential trend down, going, grinding, and then a forceful drop. We're getting ready to end our 3-minute candle in about 15 seconds. ES has broken their low, and they've broken this first zone, and we're already headed into our second zone. Just a reminder of where we are for the NQ. This is compared to the prior day's range. We're already eating up some of this structure here. So again, that was a nice forceful push. Whether those were stops or someone putting on some size. But notice I just left this real big gap here from these 54s to these 58s. You have some passive sellers that's trying to come in and maybe do whatever they're doing with their positioning up here, but you have some passive sellers that are trying to get out towards that point. Or just trying to sell. We don't know if they're trying to get out. Let me watch my words. All right.
Block sell.
All right, and NQ is still weak, as we're seeing. We're not really seeing too much excursion going on here.
Sell.
For the ES is still within these relative overnight zones. We haven't even hit through our second, which they're working on it now. NQ is still fairly weak, and you can see that they're really eating through their prior day's range. We did look at that. See, we're about here, so about 100 points away from the prior day's low, which may start a cascading domino effect. Notice we have some negative the negative sell delta here. That was from that passive order that was being filled. So the energy is starting to pick up some. People are starting to wake up. Notice the sell delta that we're seeing here on the NQ, negative 1800. And the lighter volume as we kind of push back up. So as of right now, this would be maybe like a -3, -2.5, because we have some people there. They're letting the buyers kind of come up for some air, but don't get it twisted. We are not above this 5 smoothing average. This is this is behavior of a trend down day. So again, we have about 3 minutes. We have about 3 minutes until the end of this 15-minute candle. Actually, about 2 points now.
Block buy. Block buy.
All right, looks like we're getting ready to test these lows again. We had a bullish candle turning bearish, so again that just adds more points to the sell side. We're still about a negative 2.5, maybe negative 3. Not letting the sellers have any kind of progress, and we're having some great separation between this 5 smoothing average. A lot of pressure to the downside from the sell imbalances, especially near these lows, which is where the VPOC was. So I think some buyers are starting to realize, like, damn, they're not playing today. No, they're not. And we've seen this negative delta for some time. So we're just going to see how continued this is. Again, we're not trying to step in front of this. We're not trying to add to it. We're just watching right now. But this is definitely negative 3. If you're going to look somewhere to the long side, again, I would imagine this to be more for the ES. Actually, let's go ahead and do a quick snapshot. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Alright. So I have my notes that I'm working on. Okay. My apologies. Alright, let's do a quick check. Okay, you can see that's NVIDIA leading down with Apple, Tesla for the sectors.
Block sell.
So everyone's doing well, but technology is just dragging us down. So that's interesting to see. And again, it makes sense.
Block buy.
Because we're seeing some nice stability for the NQ. So again, this is going to be a day for breath. Then today is going to be the day for sure. And again, this is why we've been selling. You'll see more to the sell side for NQ. Not as much, just much more balance on the ES. Let's look and see where we're at from a 3-minute perspective compared to the prior day's range. Midpoint, we're at the IB high from yesterday, and we're finding some legs lower. So we'll see how this sustains. But again, as of right now, we're about a negative 3. We are seeing an attempt from buyers that are being thwarted here, here, and here. This whole situation, we are under the 5 smoothing average. We're below the IB low. We're well away from the RTH VWAP, well away from the full session VWAP. Same situation for the ES, but the ES is still within these zones that we have. So first has been done, second is done. So they just have one more line of defense, and we'll see how they do. Their overnight zone is down here at the 40s. They're the overnight low rather. So yeah, just pretty much watch. And Q is basically just waiting on whatever they're waiting on. But yeah, this will be their low. We'll do this little zone here. This will be their low. So if they break that, that'll be their low for the prior day, and then we're definitely gonna see some continuation. Or no, not definitely, but we can expect to see some continuation if that prior day's low is broken. That very much sturdiness from the S&P 500. All right, I'm putting this on mute.
Block sell. Block sell.
Again, we're still sitting at a good -3. Again, we're not seeing much effort from the buyers. If there is some, not much reward. Again, we'd be looking more to buy if this was going to be a case, just given the relative strength. The fact that we're seeing a stronger sell side, it pretty much just invalidates any kind of buying here. You know, you can over speculate and say, you know, what about this? And if this happens, but, you know, we're trading what we're seeing as right now. It's just straight downside. There hasn't been any sort of a pullback. You can look at that IB low, possible pullback. As we were saying that we were sliding below this 5 smoothing average, but that'll be just a little extra to kind of jump in. I'm not sweating that too much. That is part of our playbook here, as is the inverse of that to the upside. However, this is a Monday and it's a little lighter volume. It's okay for us to miss this. We're more getting our systems up and running to get ready for this week. You have some buyers that are trying to creep out of here
Block
for sure,
buy.
but you're seeing some passive sellers. There's a reason that we're saying this is like a -3. So again, if this does go from a bearish bar to a bullish, this may be a potential initiation candle, but we have another 9 seconds to see how they close here. And ES just bounced off their little final zone, which is going to be a little bit of their last line of defense, and then they're going to be vulnerable to their overnight low. So we're going to see if there's going to be any kind of upside. Again, we took our snapshot. Hold on, let's take our snapshot here. So we're doing that excursion down. You saw a little bit of selling from industrials and finance and discretionary. So we'll see where we're at on this potential initiation candle. But you have a little doji, a little long wick doji to the downside. And we're still seeing some seller continuation. This may be their little pullback if that is an initiation candle, but ideally initiation candle will be an engulfing bar. An engulfing bar. And yeah, this is indecision with some tests to the downside. Very close to that prior day's low. ES is still saying about the same thing.
Block sell.
And again, we're still sitting here at a -3, maybe a -2.5. Again, how they're kind of letting the buyers kind of come up, but we're not seeing too much below. We're not seeing too much excursion to the upside. So we have another 40 seconds, and this will be the end of this 3-minute candle. Yeah, definitely floating somewhere between -3 and -2.2.5. I'm not looking at the screen right now. I'm reviewing my notes from last week as we are adding to our repertoire of our rhetoric. Just making sure that we're remaining objective, unbiased. We're doing a good job being an analyst slash commentator. Make sure we have a solid understanding of our goal for this commentary that we're doing. So I have a lot of notes that I took last week. And these would be some healthy reminders because even as we are today, I'm more just kind of like freestyling and sticking to how I was last week as far as like the vibes, quote unquote. But I really want to ensure that we're being deliberate with what we're working on. So again, I have a lot of notes.
Block buy.
We still have not seen an initiation candle from the buyers. There's no reason to even look to potentially do a buy. You can see a potential curling,
Block buy.
potential curling slash bottoming that's happening here.
Block buy.
We're going to see if this is going to be an engulfing candle. All right, another situation where we have potential bullish candle that ends up being undecided or a bit bearish. So as of right now, we're still at our 2.5. We're still below the all DGPs, including the 5 smoothing average. We're eating into the prior day's range, almost at the prior day's low for the NQ. We're at our last line of defense for ES for their overnight support, potential support. So as of right now, we're still at -2.5. If we are able to break above these 54s and actually use this as potential support, you may see a bit of excursion until we hit these VWAPs, double VWAPs at the 58s. Same situation for the NQ. If they can get above the 680s, and maybe they may end up testing this IB low near the 710, 720 zone. But again, this is very much looking like a more of a -3 still, because anytime we have any sort of upwards pressure, there's no follow through. We're seeing some passives that are coming in on both sides. Passives are both being filled. Definitely on the sell side, there's a lot of exertion happening for the buyers with not much effort. Not much reward. My apologies. Okay, I got all my notes. This is from last week. I have these consolidated. We look good. Again, we're starting to crash at these lows again for the NQ. So if we're going to stay true to this -3 theory, I would imagine we're going to see more excursion to the downside. However, we are a bit balanced overall on our higher time frame. Let's look at the market profile just for a reminder of where we're at. Notice the P-ish shaped for the TPO, but for the multi-distributed for the volume profile as we're looking here. So we're getting ready to test. We're testing right at this high volume node here, which is the 580s. So maybe about another 20 points and we'll be seriously bouncing off that. And then below these 580s, we are 100% going to be below this high volume node, which is going to be a bad situation if they're not able to get. They're not able to protect that zone here. So at that little zone there, we'll see how they do. Again, let's look at the daily candle, see what we're looking at here. Again, this is that inside bar. This is exactly what we were talking about. Possibly rejecting the end of that zone there. We'll see if we're going to make a lower low. We're extremely close. If we break those 80s, that'll be that high volume node and the
Block
low.
sell.
We're getting close. Again, this is very much of a -3, maybe -3.5, given the time.
Block sell.
Given the time. Very close to breaking those lows. Actually, that may have broken it, right? Yeah, that actually broke the prior. Oh no, because of the overnight session, I think. No, that should be the low. Yeah, that should be a low, or at least almost a low for the prior days. And ES is almost at their overnight low. Very, very weak day for technology. They're definitely past that. So yeah, you're definitely gonna see some liquidation here.
Block sell. Block buy.
It's alright, I looked away. So yeah, of course we were broken through our low, so now this is definitely extremely weak on both sides. We're getting ready to break through that high volume node here on NQ, see if they're going to hold that zone that we just created. If not, we have this lower section that we created not too long ago. Just a little bit of a roadmap. ES just hit that zone we created earlier today. So again, they're definitely having some downside. And again, we're not necessarily trying to execute off this. We've been completely flat all day. This is we're just gathering some information. See some spoofing down here. Sellers may appear to have run into a little wall. There we go.
Block sell.
You don't want to see them continuing. You got some icebergs that are in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my charts ready for a potential. We'll see if there's any kind of potential long in here if we have some sort of initiation candle. I am in exactly no rush to jump in front of this, but we are going to see if we're going to have a potential mean reversion if we have some sort of initiation candle. However, we're just extremely weak on all sides. Sorry about that. Turn off my full session. The little gaps in the price action here. Lots of bids. There's a lot of negative delta here at these lows. Again, they're really forcing themselves. I don't know if you heard not heard it, well heard too, but they ran into like a little wall and tried to like punch it down and just really couldn't get too much. We haven't seen huge sweeps, huge block sell orders coming in. So again, this was the start of our C bracket here. We started our C bracket with a nice impulse and then a basing candle. We have another 2.5 minutes. We'll see how they close. I do need to take a break. Some step away just for a moment. We got some passives here. So we're starting to get into a pivotal situation. So I kind of want to take a look and see where we're at. Again, let's see on our way down. Nice outside of discretionary. Nice outside of tech, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, ES is really doing a okay job. I may do a small long here if we see like another situation off the order book. Maybe like a tick low, some real passives come in. Just a little more information.
Block sell.
Because do remember, we can have a serious down day even on light volume. We've seen this before. You can have it to the upside as well. But I mean, everyone's doing well with tech. Tech is just extremely weak. Because they're getting close to hitting their Thursday low, which is they should be flirting with it right now, if not just Yeah, they just broke it. So yeah, we may see another cascade lower. And I'll double check. I don't think there's any news that I'm aware of.
Block buy.
Not that I really see. And that's why it's important to wait for any sort of like initiation candle or something on the order book. We're still sitting at a -3 at this point. There's like a -4. It's pure liquidation. In the past, I would have been trying to buy these, step in front of this train. This didn't even get traded properly. It's 34.25.
Block buy.
And again, we're not rushing to buy. We're not trying to get the cheapest price. We're trying to get the highest probability price if this is going to be a buy. But again, ideally, you would think that your hands would be off the buy button at this point, and you would find some reason to sell. But let's see where we're at on the market profile. We're just now slipping through for the ES. It took a lot. It took a lot to get to that point. If you look at the NQ, it's getting demolished right now. Single prints across the board. Daily candle looks horrible. This is that potential rejection that we're seeing for the ES. All right, that's 10 minutes right there. We're at the 740. Go ahead and throw this on the 30-minute. Sorry, it's just a lot of excursion here. I'm trying to keep these points on. It's a lot of range. A lot of range for the NQ. Just hella selling across the board. All right, and again, we have seen the sellers kind of let off the gas just a little bit. And we're going to see if that's going to continue. Notice not only are they holding in for the passes with some icebergs, they're also shooting down and hitting this bid. We're not seeing really much progress. You have some icebergs on the other side as well, and now they're kind of, it's a little bit of a fight here at these 37s. So imagine, see if I can find like a little GIF. It's basically what you're seeing right now. So you're trying to see these, yeah. You know, we'll see what happens. This is what's happening right here in the 37 and 36s. So we're gonna see if that's gonna continue. If we're gonna have any kind of upwards pressure, we'll see. And again, we are extremely stretched out from the 5 smoothing average, and we're below the overnight low for the ES. And just a lot of damage has been done for higher time frame structure for the NASDAQ. Very much of a lower high. And now lower lows. So they did get above those 37s. Now we're sitting here at these 38s. Really, the first zone that the ES wants to get over, if they're going to show some kind of sturdiness, is really going to be the 43s. But this is all dependent on the Nasdaq. If they can kind of catch their grounding, just getting above this 5 smoothing average for both of them will be good. That would be the 580s for NQ, which is what we were looking at a while ago to our downside target. So they want to get back into the prior days for Thursday and Friday, the prior week's range. For Thursday and Friday, not just the prior week. He is getting back below those 37s. And we're back below these 36s, 35s. Definitely not the best showing here. We have another 3 minutes to end this 15-minute candle. Let's see what we look like on the 15-minute. Horrible. Definitely much to the sell side. Notice buyers are trying to pull it and get it back together to finish this 15-minute candle. Maybe they're going to have the bulls not make it look as bad as it could look. But you saw some fighting towards this bottom here. But we'll see what kind of response, if there's going to be any sort of continuation.
Block sell.
I mean, as of right now, we got higher highs and higher lows for the ES. They'll need to make another higher high here. Notice that the NQ is starting to do that, but you may want to see a break. Excuse me, you want to see if technology can possibly provide some relief. On our way down, more NVIDIA, more Apple. See who's down for the day. Broadcom, Tesla, just right across the board for mainly technology, discretionary, and um, consumer discretionary and communications. So we took another snapshot here. We'll see who's doing what off these lows. And I will be right back.
Block sell. Block cell. Block cell. Block by. Block by.
All right, so we are pretty much just drifting up, still doing the higher highs and higher lows, specifically on NQ. NQ was the reason that we were down in the first place. So if they are going to hold things down and lift us up, everyone else can take a break. Utilities, industrials, finance, um, even healthcare. They still may be sturdy overall as far as the S&P 500, but it is good to see the breadth working. So you have technology who's leading the way down, and that money is going to other sectors. And now these other sectors are taking a break. You're seeing the technology sector just really bloom upwards. So I think this is a nice situation overall. If you look at the delta here for the NQ, again, this is for the 30 minutes. We're just hitting this 8 o'clock. We have a lot of sell delta that's down here on that's below the
Block
buying
sell.
delta. So not the best position for the sellers here. And even the ones that are here at the five, no, the 640s, the 630s. These 630s are going to be feeling a little bit of heat as we get ready to gear towards up. Same situation here for the ES. Not the best position sellers, and that's where the VPOC is. But we still have a ways to go before buyers still have a ways to go to get into this 50 areas, 48 to 50s. So we're about 9 points away. It's very thin volume from here until that point. So it's a possibility that you may have a little retrace, but who knows? We'll see. But you want to see if this breath is going to continue when tech does decide to take a break. If we're going to see any weakness or the balancing behavior where ES starts catching a bid again because they're starting to channel a little bit upwards, but they still have not revisited near the 34s, 35s yet. So we'll see what kind of price action we get from here. We saw this sell delta on the footprint. I'm just gonna reload this and see what kind of auction we get as we're an hour and a half in. So let's just look at this with fresh eyes. We'll keep our same volume profile structure, but we're clearing out the delta, clearing out the bid and offer column,
Block
and
sell.
let's see where we're at this point. We'll see if we create any kind of ledges or anything of that nature. But for the market to do this baton pass, they're really gonna have to work well, coordinate this well together.
Block sell.
So remember, we do have a lot of singles that are above us. So it's a possibility that we may retest some of
Block
those.
buy.
Let's see what we're looking at for the ES.
Block buy.
Again, we're seeing more excursion to the upside for the NQ, but that's retracing this down move opposed to just this higher balance that we're seeing for the ES. So one is really not better than the other, but definitely NQ would be much weaker overall. All right, got another 5 seconds. Look at these stacked sellers right here. It's just cool to see.
Block sell.
Let's see if they're gonna get filled. They sure did disappear. So pulling of offers. I think we're still about a -2 as of right now. They're starting to creep back in. If ES gets above these 43s, you can notice this very thin structure here where we broke through these little slides, low volume nodes. But I mean, they really need to protect these 36s here or they'll fall through their own. And end up getting below their 34s. Volume point of control is migrating lower. So we do have NQ that is above their 5 smoothing average. You'll see how long they can hold that. ES is trying to fight to stand on theirs. Yeah, really not too much here.
Block buy. Block sell.
All right, it was a nice little drunken monkey, a little lean lower, and trying to impulse back in the other direction. That ended up getting me. I ended up getting out of my little trade that I had. Look at this. 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 Sad. Yeah, there's really not too much going on here. I'm gonna go ahead and start my journal. I'm not gonna sweat this little action. I mainly liquidated. I really didn't like how ES was the one that was so damn sturdy, but they ended up being more on the weaker side. So I mean, I really passed at that point because what got me into the trade was no longer happening. At this point, shit, I'm looking like hold on. This is this is basically me. This is basically me after I had got with the ES. ES was doing their thing, and then NQ started ripping up, much more aggressive. I was like, oh man, that's basically how I felt, which is sad. One thing I did not mention was the little dance that ES and NQ does, where one appears to be a bit stronger or weaker than the others. I typically mention that often. I failed to remember that for today, or at least state it for today, which possibly leads toward the yeah, not possibly waiting. I don't know. It's just a lot of shit I could have, would have done in that situation here. Not too for sure, but we'll keep looking. Yeah, we shouldn't. This is not what it looks like when you're coming off these lows. Now, it's a possibility that we may have. We can see if there's like a tick low or something like this from ES, but you need to be a little patient. But I'm not seeing anything here that's making me really want to buy, especially when they were supposed to be they were the stronger ones at first. Looking at it since we did our last check, which is
Block
on that
buy.
648. Uh, Everyone is selling off but tech and communications. So that's a big pass. It's a big pass.
Block by. Block cell.
Sorry about that. Did we ever hit those 33 20s? I don't think we ever did. Volume still incredibly light. Really not too much going on here at the moment. Go ahead and lock this.
Block cell. Block by.
All right, this may be another push. You can definitely see tech that's bursting through. And again, this is the main reason I ended up getting out of my trade. I mean, we were not seeing ES really control the auction like NQ is at the moment. Though we do have a lot of people that are off balance for the sell side on NQ. So again, I mean, ES is literally
Block
coiling
by.
sideways. If they do break these 41s, those 41s will need to be used as support. You can possibly find a higher probability trade in that area.
Block by. Block sell. Block cell. Block buy.
All right, sorry, I was just kind of typing away. I finished my journal, so I'm actually done with this. And again, this is more of what we're seeing for ES. So for whatever reason, they ended up doing that dance between ES and NQ. We're seeing just really red across the board. There's no hope. There's no support. There's no love from some of these other sectors. They're taking like a huge, taking a bit of a plunge while Tech is kind of holding us down. So that is that typical flip that I speak of, them doing that dance. But we haven't broken those lows for ES yet. We're only 2 points away. 2 minutes into this D bracket. So again, I'm gonna be closing up soon. You know, whatever happens, happens here. Really, the only way I'll be interested in even thinking about buying is if we have like a tick or two low, and then we reverse back with a nice candle. That would be the initiation candle. I will see a potential pullback and maybe long from there if NQ is still holding. But I'm not really interested in this because these fools can't get past the yet again the 41s. We were saying like the 44s last week. I actually want to look at the daily candles. So I mean, we're just back in that range where we're finding all kind of sellers here. So I mean, this is really diddling in the middle. If you're looking at from a balance perspective, this is right in the middle of that range here. We can look at this on a profile. We wouldn't really want to initiate in the middle of this cluster zone here, maybe off a long, but again with like limited downside, which is where we were kind of going with the first place, but I'm not trying to have like a longer stop for here, especially given the way at tech, the way the how weak tech was. Now, ideally, you can have like a wider stop for ES and possibly, but I mean, just the way the NQ started, I was a little disoriented from that. But again, bullish on the higher, bullish on the intermediate, on the shorter time frame, more of a bit balanced. And then the RT8 session was incredibly bearish for the NQ. Notice that we have the this open test drive to the downside, and then open drive more for that B bracket. So just complete destruction for the first two brackets, and even starting a little bit of the third. But a nice pullback and reclaim of this 5 smoothing average. We're not seeing that for the S&P 500. Maybe right here we're trying to get above the 5 smoothing average, but again, this is kind of getting into the more speculative standpoint. Yeah, really not too much. Yeah, I'm just putting this back on mute. This is probably gonna be the end of the session here. I'm not interested. I have my stuff locked. I'm not interested in doing anything here at the moment. So, if we rise above, more power to them. If we tick below and go to the moon, that's fine as well. I'm about to go on with my day.
Block cell. Block cell. Block cell.
So by no means am I looking to get into this, but I do recognize that they broke this low and immediately got back into the same range. Though it wasn't like a better close, but just something to take note of. It took a while for them to actually break this low. Once we did, we got immediately back into the range and we're already pushing up. So that's what I was talking about, maybe having like the ticker too low, but that was just a little more of
Block buy.
a force down. But that's pretty much what I was looking for. But I've already lost interest.
Block cell. Block by. Block cell. Block by. Block by. Block by.
All right, as we head into the last 30 seconds of this Euro close, we'll see what kind of action that we get. But as of right now, just slowly drifting lower on the NQ with a lower high, and definitely the same case for the S&P 500. They can't even close above there. They can't stay above their 5 moving average. So another 5 seconds. This will be the end of this bracket here. And I'm pretty much going to close it. Just want to see if we're going to have any kind of flurries. I hate to cut it off in a situation like this, but it's really not going to do anything but overstimulate me and have me focus on this really short time frame. We don't really have any kind of like buy signal here. We'll just be really fishing, trying to find for like a little reversal, but again, we can't even get over this overnight low, which is at the 5640s. So again, as of right now, I would imagine we may have some kind of upwards thrust, or even lower, but we're basically, it looks like we're just going to balance below the IB low. If not, just balance below the VWAP as of right now. I'm not really seeing anything else that's going to speak otherwise. These guys just aren't working together. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. You guys have a good day. Thank you for watching, and let's get ready for this week.